There we go. Okay. So everyone's talking about this, and I have no right to talk about it, but I'll give you a consumer view on what's going on with the RTX 30 series. Um, and anybody wants to break down, I'm going to talk about a couple of different things. I'm gonna bounce all over the place because that's what I do. So if you want to look at primarily like what I'm talking about, like why people are selling the 2080s, 2080 Ti's, and everything right now, um, go watch Greg Salazar. He has a video. He knows a lot more about this stuff than I do, and his videos talking specifically about why people are just like letting go of their stuff. Um, so this is kind of funny to me. I was looking on, and I was on Facebook last night, and I was like, let me check the marketplace. Let me see what is going on. Let me see kind of what to expect. And I was the same way he was shocked. I was fucking shocked. I was seeing $650 2080 Supers. And then I was seeing $699 2080 Ti's. And then I was seeing $450 2080 Supers. So it's all over the place. So that brings us here. Uh, this is this is awesome. This is the only people whoever loses AMD or Nvidia or any of the AIB manufacturers or somebody else who comes in new and takes it from everyone or who comes in new and or say Intel comes with a GPU that's just $700 and completely underwhelming. Who fucking knows? But out of any of them, consumers are winning right here. This is great. This is great. This is great. This is not even out of the system. This is some dude. This run right here. These are people that are looking at this stuff going, uh, yeah, no, this is gonna go like sub $500. So I got to get it out while it's still hot. The 2080 Ti's are interesting. 689 for 2080 Ti. If you literally said last week to somebody that their 2080 Ti is going to be worth 689, $700 next week, they would be like, yeah, okay, sure, yeah, we'll see what Nvidia has to offer with their 30 series. This is really great. This means that a 2080 Ti will be in a ton of different computers that and people who otherwise would never have been able to afford it at its price a week or two ago. It's really great. So I think this overall trend, I think personally, if you're anybody who's looking to buy or get a used GPU, if you're trying to sell it, just start selling it. You should have started selling it. If you had a 2080 Ti and you were going to sell it for the 30 series, you should have sold it a fucking month ago. You should have sold it a week or two ago. You should not. Anybody who's selling it right now was not somebody who was thinking this through. So unfortunately, I think that what you should be doing is trying immediately to sell it because it's going to devalue so much. I think what it's going to be similar to what's going on here. It's what's going to happen to MacBooks when the new ARM chip ones come out, and they're going to be sold for less money because there's going to be in-house chips that they don't have to pay Intel for, and they're really going to undersell them so that they don't have to sell those other models. So that the used market they can go and fuck up with their own supposedly be an $800 MacBook. I think it's going to be less than $1,000 MacBook Pro, which is big for them, especially if they actually don't put DDR3 or some other bullshit in there. I think what's going to happen that though is what's happening here, and what you're seeing here is you're seeing people scramble and lose their minds. And rightfully so. This is I don't think you were ever able to get it for $1,000, but this is a $1,200 card. People are selling for, and this is buy it now. This is buy it now, $650. Buy it now, $689. Buy it now, $699. And you have Founders editions. You got the EVGA. Everything I hear about them, all their cards are good. Again, EVGA, RTX, 2080 Ti. I mean, it's crazy. So what I don't also get, I'm going to bring up just a list of specs. Here's the list of the specs we have from everything that NVIDIA released themselves. This is off of their website. I don't understand why people were, because a lot of this stuff is not new. 24 gigabytes of GDR6X. There being an RTX variant, it's going to be around 8 gigabytes. It's going to be, whether it's going to be a 3070 or that is going to be the 3080 or whether it was going to be a 3060 or it's going to be something else unknown. We knew basically like, oops, let me not be an idiot here. We knew basically like this information. We might not know base clocks. We knew there's going to be a 3070, a 3080, and a 3090. We also know there's going to be some version of a 3060, probably a 3050 as well, and that will replace their GTX cards, or they will be the GTX 3060 and GTX 3050 instead. I mean, a lot of this stuff too, like it's got DirectX 12 Ultimate, okay, PCI Gen 4. A lot of this stuff, it's like, does it do NVIDIA G-Sync? Does it do NVIDIA this? Does the NVIDIA Founders card do NVIDIA whatever it's called? Of course it does. NVIDIA SLI ready. It's the only thing. That was like the biggest thing out of this, is they're basically like, yeah, no, fuck SLI. We're done. Display, and then you're doing the dimensions of the cards. Okay, that's new. Now we know that this 3090 is a 3 slot and these ones are 2 slots. But there's nothing really else here that's like, I tried to find that graph. I couldn't find it on here. Okay, so this is it right here. Okay. So right on like here, where that little cursor is, where everything's is where the 3070 is at. So 3070 is equal to the 2080 Ti. They're saying it's slightly better. It's probably equal to the 2080 Ti in most performances. It probably has. The lower RAM, I don't know. That's up in the air until people actually start getting their hands on the card and seeing what that makes a difference. I think that's going to be probably a 2080 Ti with better ray tracing. Maybe slightly better frames. I don't think it's going to be like more than like a 5-frame average gap between that and the 2080 Ti. I don't think so. Because 2080 Ti is a fucking beast. So it's going to have similar frame rates to it. It's just going to have better ray tracing. That's what it seems like. And that's $500 for that card. That doesn't come out until October. This is interesting. It's interesting why people like are just mass selling their cards right now. It's really interesting because it's like, again, not a lot of this was really brand new. Now, here's the one thing. Here's what I wanted to focus on. That's why I have Xbox up here. Because, of course, I got to make a video where I'm, slamming Microsoft or something. So, Microsoft had this little thing that came out here. This little, it says video output 8K for the Series X. 8K. Okay. And this is only guaranteeing 1080p at 120 frames. Does it guarantee 1440p at 120 frames? Because I'm guessing if it does 1440p near 120 or 4K at 60 frames, which by the way, the 2080 Ti does not do 4K 60 frames on anything. In addition to that, this is supposed to be for the next generation, this Xbox. Video output 8K. Okay, so this 8K HDR gaming that they're spouting for the 3090 has no testing, has no benchmarks, it has no fucking numbers besides the specs that are inside of the 3090, which most we already knew. Yeah, does it do 8K ray tracing Minecraft? It's a lot different than 8K GTA, anything open world. I mean, 8K Flight Simulator. Yeah, so if the 3090, a $1,500 graphics card, is supposedly doing 8K, and we have no information, and that's kind of up in the air, that comes with the asterisk of what are they saying it can play in 8K? What are they saying? Are they saying 60 frames? Are they saying just 8K is possible? Then, if this is the $1,500, the new beast that is blowing people away, then what in the fuck is this going to do about 8K? Nothing. Not a goddamn thing. So I just wanted to squash this whole 8K rumor of the Series X. Horseshit. Maybe it does like 8K Tetris. Sure. Go right ahead. Didn't they fucking do that? Like Tetris was one of the one of their release titles for Microsoft. So I'll go back to this one. So this is a good this is good. This is good marketing for them. Because anybody that's really actually confused on how your 1080 Ti will be stacking up against something, how that 980 or 980 Ti that you've hung on forever is just sitting in the system, how it's going to do. Well, now you can make that jump from 980 Ti or 1080 Ti to possibly 2080 Ti. You don't even need to get the other ones. You know, if you can get 2080 Ti for $400, just get that. Driver's going to be more consistent. It's gonna resell at that price point. It's not gonna probably go down more once this all comes out. Now, here's the did I close the? Oh damn, I closed the Xbox one. Let me get that back up real quick. All right, yeah. So we're gonna go here. Now I already said this 8K is bullshit. I think this is bullshit on what they're going to be promoting for. Like I said, it could probably do that 8K of that Tetris game. It might be able to do like maybe 8K. It's like 30 frames of Ori, maybe 60 frames Ori, something like that. Something along the lines of that. I don't see this doing like 8K Halo Infinite or 8K next Rockstar game. So, but now that we have the actual comparison, this one was on the compare specs, or was that one here? That one was here. So the 3080 and the 3070, which the 3070 sits right here, somewhere between this gap between the two of them, somewhere in this ballpark, is where NVIDIA is preparing for it's called Navi, Big Navi to be. Actually, I think this is probably mid-range Navi, and maybe there's a big Navi between the 3080 and 3090, possibly, especially in that price point of like around 8 to 1,000. But this kind of gives us a gauge at Navi. Now you're looking at the Xbox. Now this is not a dedicated graphics card going into your computer. This is something that was given to Microsoft that they then did a lot of programming, just like Sony did a lot of programming to make this thing run the best that it possibly could. It's going to do 4K, 60 frames. I don't doubt that on almost any. I really don't doubt it. I haven't heard anything about there being any problems as far as developing games for the Series X at all. So I don't quite think that this this graph basically settles out the debate. I don't think that the price points and the power wattage here and everything is like end of debate. This specifically, I don't think that this is debate ending. I don't. And I think that this 3090 is going to be their most appreciated card because of what it is. It's a Titan for $1,000 less, is what it is. It's not a more expensive 2080 Ti because that's what the 3080 is. 3080 is a 2080 Ti essentially, and whatever 3080 Ti comes out, possibly that'll be what the 2080 Ti is. But this 3090 is not comparable to the 2080 Ti. It's a Titan card that's less money. So I think that price per value, that's probably going to be the card. It's not the card everyone's going to get. It's not the card everyone's going to use. It's not the card most content creators would fucking need. They only need 2080 Ti's. Most of them just need, a 2080 Super is fine. 2070 Super for gaming is fine. 2080 Ti is like, you just want the best of the best. This is going to be great for the used market. More than anything. That's the number one thing here, that all of this, what this means, and the lack of knowledge we have completely on AMD's next GPUs, it's just nothing good but Nothing but good things for the used market. Yeah, I'm kind of excited. And I can't wait to see what AMD has to pull out. Now, if AMD pulls something, and where I'm going to leave price out for AMD, you could say that their drivers are not going to be up to date, and the price difference for what's comparable. So let's say AMD comes out with a comparable GPU for the 3070 and the 3080. I expect them to retail for $399 and $599, respectively. And they're going to be $100 less. I think that AMD knows that they're going to need to probably have to be $100 less for the fact that their drivers are not what NVIDIA's drivers are. They're not there yet, especially on their newer stuff. Now, in a year, who fucking knows? Who knows? NVIDIA could be getting the same support, and all of a sudden, maybe AMD fixes something in a couple of months. Maybe they don't. But the most that you can, at the very least, you can say is if they don't fix their drivers, if they don't fix their drivers, and they don't have any solution for it, which was a big thing for them the last time around, recommending a 5700 XT over a 2070 Super was kind of hard, even though it was $100 less at least. Just the drivers. Some people just want that stability, consistency. Now, if they don't have that for $100 less, they're at the same point that they are. But I think we can agree that like a 5700 XT was gaming-wise great for comparable to like a 2070. But once you get to like a 2070 Super, AMD didn't really have anything that was great overall for everything. Now, if they have something that undercuts them by $100, knowing that their drivers aren't good, but that has like almost no increase in the wattage used for the graphics card, that is something to think about, because then that's what we're getting into. Now we're going to talk about this. What's worthwhile here? I'm going to go up to this compare specs so you can see. So these graphics cards, and these are also the Founders Editions. The AIBs will probably be using a little more. Not from like 350 to 450, but probably like 370, 380. This, you can probably see it probably like 350. This, for the 3070, 220 watts. I want to see people get their hands on it, and I really want to see if that is really what it uses. If it does, then the 3070 I think is going to be their most popular card. And right with just this stack, if NVIDIA doesn't come out with anything else, NVIDIA is fine. The 3070 does not have the power consumption of the other two cards. Even if it has the power consumption of the 3080, that's what I was expecting. I was expecting like if the 3090 would have been 350 and the 3080 would be 320, I'd expect the 3070 to be 300, maybe 280, not 220. So I think 250, 260 is probably more realistic, especially with the AIB models. And that would be the only, power consumption-wise, that'd be the only thing that's comparable. And I know it's not going to be like a big thing, but people that are already pushing the power supply unit, you don't want to have to get a whole brand new one. Just for a card that's going to be more expensive. And it could fall flat at any point. The drivers for this something could just happen. Who knows? Really, I think the thing that NVIDIA has not going for them is probably the amount going to be available. The quantity of these cards, I don't think they're going to be very big. I heard rumors and seen things about people saying the numbers of the 3090. I mean, if it's more than 1,000, if it's more than like 500 cards, if it's like more than 500 to 1,000 cards, I'd be surprised. I'd be very surprised. With everything going on, the type of card this already is, 1 to 500 is my guess. of initial, like, what they're going to make for the card. The 3080, if that's not really in stock, or if it's in a very similar production amount as the 3090, or maybe it's double, that's a big thing. And that's a really big thing overall here. It's the power consumption and cause drivers, we can assume that AMD is not going to get their shit together. Let's just make that assumption. Let's not give AMD the benefit of the doubt there. As what could go wrong here that has nothing to do on the price of the cards, nothing to do on the power of the cards, not power consumption, the actual like strength of what the cards can do, not on anything else, not even just making the just the small possibility that, say, their drivers take a while to get everything all figured out. Just on availability and power utilization, this could really be a big thing. If there's a really big power utilization here, if people who would want to get 3080s would need to get new batteries, would need to get a new power supply, and then are going to go look at a 3070, well, what if AMD has that $500 card that is comparable to the 3080, or $600 card comparable to the 3080 that doesn't use the wattage more than a 3070? You're going to get people maybe going over. You're going to probably get people buying because they're used to buying, having to spend $1,200 for 20 ATIs or more than $1,000. Maybe if they're seeing like, hey, I'm going to spend $500 on a 3070 and then $600 on a just make names up for them, a 6600 XT or 6700 XT. I don't know. Is that enough for the fanboys to go over? Probably not. Is that enough for the general consumer to go over? Well, the general consumer is really who this 3070 is for. 3080 is for anybody who just wants to have the best without having to spend more than double the money. A 3070 is really what's for low-end consumers. And if they have something cheaper than this, if they have a 3060 that is at the, say it's at a 3080 Super, it's at a 2080 Super's level, which is better ray tracing, and say they have a 3050, that's like a 2070, maybe a 2060 Super. What price points are they going to need to be? Because getting that used 2080 Ti with the near perfect driver that's going to have is the better option, really. And if you're in that lower market, it's going to be a really hard sell for them. Like this is their sweet spot. These three, if they did the anti-AMD thing of like releasing 11 different products, product line, like if they just did this and then had a 3060, that's say $300, and it's at the same performance of a 2080 and a 2070 Super, and it's $300, and that puts the 2080 Ti at $400 on the used market, puts this 3070 at that $500. It leaves these there. I don't know. To everyone who's like selling their 2080 Ti's right now, if you're going to be upgrading, just do it. To everybody who's buying a 2080 Ti at like $600, $700, $800, thinking it's a good deal, I'd wait. I'd really wait. This is not the dust is just getting kicked up right here. And right now, NVIDIA is unfortunately in the same position that Microsoft is in. They're just waiting for the competitor to make a move so they know what to do, so they know what to release. This, we don't have frame rates for anything. We don't have frame rates for just the 5 or 10 most popular AAA titles. We don't have any of that. And they know that it's really important for them to not be saying anything and just having hey, here's the hype for our cards. Here's where a 2080 Ti is at. We're basically getting it for like half the price, less than half the price. Well, what if AMD comes out with the $400 option that has decent drivers and is at a 3070? And what do you spend that extra $100 for just the Founders Edition? What are the AIB models going to be? There's so much in the air. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. I think everybody should be holding out before you go making your own new perfect system.